Fourth article for the People's Bill of Rights for the little U United Biggest States of these Americas. And it reads, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, comma, houses, comma, papers, comma, and effects, comma, against unreasonable searches and seizures, comma, shall not be violated, comma, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, comma, supported by oath or affirmation, comma, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the comma, and the persons or things to be seized. And we're going to break it down in the individual clauses here. The right of the people, I want to start right there, because who does this right pertain to? I mean, we're seeing these illegal aliens, these people invading into our country, and when we insist that the law be enforced upon them and they be put out because they've came here illegally, we're hearing that they have these procedural due process rights in our country. This article was written for the people, the nationals of the United States. It was not written for the world. It is not a world document. It exists within our boundaries for our people. Let's keep that straight. And let's not let them take the common law that we are being denied and give it to the people who are to replace us, the recolonization forces. The right of the people to be secure in their persons. That means, they throw that in there. It's always talking about, search warrants to come to your house, to look in your car. That's includes you, to search you personally, or to seize you personally. A seizure of your person is any time that your will to go freely about is inhibited in any way. And that's something people need to understand. Anytime that you can't go about your business and anytime you're stopped and detained in any manner, it can only be through this due process described in the fourth article. Their persons, their houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Now, a lot of what we're seeing today, we have here, Budget Committee approved Scott Walker's plan to drug test some medical or Medicaid recipients. This is from Cap Times. Wisconsin could be the first state to require childless adults to undergo drug testing in order to sign up for Medicaid under a budget provision approved Thursday by the Joint Finance Committee. You got a finance committee here who's was essentially going to approve a seizure of our people. Now, why can't this happen? Republicans on the legislature's budget writing committee approved, with some changes, a proposal in Scott Walker's 2-year spending plan that would require childless adult Medicaid recipients to work or receive job training for 80 hours per month. This is calling compelled performance through coercion. And it, again, is a seizure. If they can, like I said, if you're going about your business freely as an American national, anybody takes you off that course to any degree against your will, that is a seizure. And it happens every day. We have millions of violations of the fourth article every day. The Patriot Act that was just a total cancellation of our fourth article right. And again, it makes null and void the constitutional contract, and it removes all the power from those who are now nothing more than occupation force. But let's look at it and how this is cemented in the rest of the statement. And no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seen. This is a procedure that must be followed before, like I said, if you're going about your business and you're not physically attacking someone. There isn't something, you're not accosting someone. There's nothing in motion. You're just going about your business, and somebody wants to come and deter you from what you're doing to any degree. That is a seizure of your person. And what the fourth article says is required is a warrant. You need a warrant. And the warrant shall only be issued, but on probable cause. And probable cause is an accusation supported by oath or affirmation. That is the two witness rules. There means there has to be two witnesses to that action. So before you can be touched, in the first place, it has to be an American national. And it cannot be a government agent acting as a government agent, because government agents can only act as government agents in the admiralty jurisdiction. And in the fifth article, we'll go over what is the admiralty jurisdiction and what is the common law jurisdiction. But we are self-governing people. That means we live within the jurisdiction of the common law, the most powerful jurisdiction, the superior jurisdiction for the United States of these Americas. And that being said, that procedure has to be followed. You know, they're coming with all these things like, the cop on the side of the road wants to look in your car. He pulls you over and he just types into a computer, and a computer-generated warrant comes. That is not due process. That is not in obeyance to the fourth article to our People's Bill of Rights. What it requires is like when they talk about describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. What you would have to have is like say that you think there's marijuana in that car. You can't just say, I think I smelt marijuana, and I get a look in that car. What it would take is somebody having seen, in the first place, this is why it's so difficult to explain, because it isn't none of their business if you have marijuana in your car. It isn't, until you have caused harm to another, it isn't none of their business anything you do. But, and again, the cop that would pull you on the side of the road cannot exist. It is a violation of our rights that this standing army of private corporate enforcers exists, let alone tries to exercise authority that does not exist, because the only authority that can exist over an American national is the authority that we grant to one another, and that is done through a common law court. The only way authority can be had over an American national is through court order. It is through this process that we're talking about. Now, let's talk about stolen goods. Okay, somebody had something stolen from him, and let's take a car for instance. Now, before you could look in somebody's car, their private property is their car. But of course, again, here we are trying to explain this in terms that have been made null and void by the violations that have already occurred. The car doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the state. This is how they this is how they get to the point to they say that they can use a robo warrant to get inside your car. But the bottom line is we have to keep coming back to the 9th article, which says no power could have ever been created under the authority of the Constitution, which was the only power granted by the people, that infringes upon the rights, that removes the rights, that allows for the state to take ownership of your vehicle for you to go down a public road that belongs to you. It's a breakdown right to the first infringements that came through the door. At any rate, let's say your car's sitting on your private property, then we'd have to go another step, because they're going to have to come on your private property to even look into your car. Well, there would have to be someone who was on that private property who saw that stolen piece of merchandise, and it wouldn't be just one person. This has got to be 2 witnesses, because that's what the 2-witness rule, that's what they're talking about, oath or affirmation. Why is this so? Why is there the 2-witness rule? Because without the 2-witness rule, it's my word against your word, and there has to be doubt. In any case, there would have to be doubt of who's telling the truth. You can say, I seen this, and the other person, or this happened. One person can lay out a scenario, say it was a fight. Somebody got in a fight. And one person's, of course, going to say, he started the fight, and the other person's going to say he started the fight. Unless you have that second witness, what you have is a case that cannot be brought. Because it's just going to be your word against my word, and we can go up there and play this game, but you cannot get the documents to even put the action into motion under the 4th article without 2 witnesses. This being said, there would have to be 2 witnesses that said they seen that stolen piece of property in that car. And they would have to go down to that. Now, see, one of the persons could be the party that the item got stolen from. Or it could be that the person who was going to make the complaint, he did not have the knowledge and did not see the stolen property, but he's, of course, going to make the complaint because he was the person who had the property stolen from him. So when he goes to swear out his warrant so that he can go search for his property, he brings his 2 witnesses in. They all swear out affidavits. Now, why are they putting these honest people to all of this trouble? Well, it was because in old England and, in the aristocracies and the dictatorships that proceeded to the United States, people they would spend their lives in jail on an allegation. And now let somebody more powerful get mad at you, and they could make an allegation and ruin your life, take your property, do anything they wanted to. This was a protection that our founders fought for. And I'm not talking about George Washington, and I'm not talking about Thomas Jefferson, and I'm not talking about Madison or any of the rest of them. I'm talking about our people that went out and did the killing and the dying. Now, I know Georgie got some bullets through his coat, and that's good and fine. And, I mean, he was one of the few aristocrats that stood to the hazard a bit. But it doesn't make him any better than the rest of us, no more than our heroes today that go and fight for the corporation make them stand out above us either. The bottom line here is you have to have those two witnesses. Because if you let's see, where were we? Supported by oath or affirmation, the oaths, the affirmations. Now, why is this? Today we'll see people, with asset forfeiture, we'll see people accused of crimes and their property taken and never convicted of the crimes. Their property's removed from them. I mean, direct violation of the fourth article. They know that they are violating the fourth article. They know they are violating the ninth article by pretending they have the authority to violate the fourth article. And, what they'll do is they'll try to, like the robo-warrant. Well, that's the due process you get. No, the due process has to meet the standard of the fourth article. And none of the due process they're putting out there today under the Admiralty comes close to meeting the requirements of the fourth article. Now, the fourth article, like I said, why does it require that oath and affirmation? Because you're going to swear to these facts. So if somebody's just trying to do somebody dirty, it's like I said, people that go through cases where they're falsely accused by the state under the Admiralty. They'll fight for years being perfectly innocent, and none of these none of the procedures being met. They were brought into the court without these procedures. Otherwise, they would have been protected and it would have never happened. But when you let a state get out of control, don't give them, when they've seized the power. We didn't give it to them. They seized the power. But then they take you and you go through a court, for 4 or 5 years, and you're paying out all your wealth to lawyers to go and work in the Admiralty, where you're allowed to represent yourself as a piece of property, and you have that kind of right in their Admiralty court. But you do not have the right of a freeman national, which is the absolute right and the superior authority in the United States. And after they take you through years of abuse and depleting your resources, and then you finally prove yourself innocent, well, you get all that money back. Well, no, it was the state that charged you, and the state is immune from prosecution. So you just lost all that money on a false allegation, and this is exactly what the fourth article was put into place for. Now, if somebody charges you under the fourth article, now you have a criminal complaint against you, and they've went and got the warrants. They've taken their witnesses to a crime. Same standard as with the property. To seize a person supposedly for a crime, you're going to have two witnesses. These people step up, and they sign their names under penalty of perjury. Now, they're swearing that this is a true statement that you've committed this act or you've stolen property, whatever the case might be. Now, when you answer that, when you're called to answer that filing against you, you do not come as a defendant. I mean, this is another thing that they've got people to accept under the Admiralty that just isn't so. It doesn't exist in the world of the free man. I'm not a defendant. I'm not defending anything. I'm a respondent. I'm responding to documentation that has been put before me. And as a respondent, I have the absolute right to countersue or counterclaim in my response. So somebody, goes down and they make these complaints against me. It's putting me on me. I'm seized right there because I'm going to have to deal with this. So that being said, I'm going to respond to it. And if I didn't do it, I'm going to make a counterclaim against them for perjury, if it's a criminal incident, and then for a counterclaim for damages if it's a civil matter and they're trying to recover for a damage that I did not occur on them. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so now when I make my counterclaim, because there's no such thing as there's just this big powerful Admiralty government thing, and you plead to them as a defendant. I'm a lowly defendant. No, I'm an equal respondent with you. We're equal in this action, the respondent and the petitioner. They put a petition, and I respond to the petitioner with my response, and I counterclaim against them. If they're trying to do me dirty, I lay it out. You're trying to do me dirty. I mean, it would be written out in fact. I'd lay out the facts of how you are trying to do me dirty, and then I bring forth my own witnesses. And after I make the counterclaim, then they have the option of dropping it all there. But I could pursue my counterclaim. I still have to drop that. If they go, oh shit, he's got some witnesses that are going to show that we got together and colluded on this and we're all lying and we're trying to deprive him of property or his freedom, then they can, the first thing would be, oh, we just want to stop this. But it doesn't stop there. I have to drop my counterclaim. See, this is what you do not see in what they're putting off as jurisprudence in this country today, is they're putting that as a justice system. It's an injustice system. You are completely removed of your right, your presumption of innocence. I mean, they've thrown that in there with the 14th Amendment, all this BS. It never had to do anything with presumptions of innocence or anything. It was one litigant against another litigant on equal playing field. And there was no judge sitting up there deciding who's going to get to tell what in the court. Everything came before the court, and the jury decided. That's what juries were for. And they were made up of the people around in the community, and they know how to look at a liar. They know when any one of us can do it. We know when just a person who's gotten a reputation because they're liars, and we know who the packs of thieves and criminals are, the people who have abused people in the past, and just looking at people, you judge them for yourself. When you meet somebody, you're judging their trustability. You're judging their personality, what kind of person they are. I mean, that's what the jury was for. And if it was speculation, we were educated back in the day that the Fourth Article was written. And we even knew what the word speculation mean. And, he's speculating. You didn't say that to your Honor, objection, he's speculating. He didn't do that. Not in the common law. You looked over at the jury and say, that's speculation. And that's how you need to treat it. And then in the end, the jury would decide. But again, going back to the claim and the counterclaim. This is why they call it was protections. These are the protections that we afforded ourselves in our Bill of Rights, our absolute Bill of Rights. And again, this is unalienable law, or unalienable. It cannot be touched. And it is protected by the Ninth that says no authority can be created through the Constitution, which is the superior authority in government, in the formation of government that exists. There is no authority higher. And so when they try to, when they pass off these robo warrants or like this guy, Scott Walker, planning to drug test people, what you have here is you have a socialist dictatorship being put into place, because what Scott Walker's doing is by gunpoint, he is illegally taking money from the people that live in his state. What he's doing through the taxation, and this is something we've talked about before that comes back to the fourth, the tax. The federal government has the all-powerful right to tax. Yeah, they do. They can tax a state. They can tax entities. They can tax. They can put tariffs on goods coming in. They can tax industry. They can tax those that are making profit off of our resources. They can do that, but it has to be a direct tax now. It has to be for a direct purpose. It ain't like, well, general fund, fill that sucker up, man, and we'll see how much money we can spend. It was never supposed to be that, and it is, in fact, forbidden. And as far as we the people, why can't they tax us? They can't tax us because that's a seizure of our property. If you go and you create wealth, with your hands, what we call income wealth, where you're not capitalizing on any resource or anything, you're actually selling your labor, the labor of your body. And so what you bring in from that is all yours. And so you take that money and you acquire some land, or you acquire property, guns, whatever a fellow might want to own, that belongs to you. And then the government comes along and says, well, we're going to tax you on the money. See, this is where we got into it with the, what the heck was his name? The Pete Hendrickson. The government, everything belongs to the federal government, even the stuff that you own in your house. Your own property that you're sitting on belongs to the federal government. And then come along, we're decided that you're going to pay us 2% of the value on your property every year, because we want to build some schools over here. Really? Well, shove it up your boom. You can't do it. You want to take anything of my property, there is a procedure to be followed. You start with that fourth article. You go over there, and you're going to have to swear out an oath and affirmation with two witnesses saying that I owe you. Before you can even start to think about getting any warrants or any process on me, or you can file a civil claim, and you can say that I've damaged you and that I owe you this much money. But then you're going to have those two witnesses when you to the same event. That's the only thing that will be accepted in a common law court. And what is the government going to say? I'm a government agent, and I want that person to pay me that much money to build a school. And he's going to be sitting there talking to 12 of you who could be held to the same standard? Well, no, that doesn't meet the qualifications. The people's property belongs to the people. You can't just take it. The only way you can take it is to follow these procedures, and you can't even start government agent because you're not coming as an individual who this person has damaged or who this person owes money for some contract. He just doesn't. In fact, the government can't enter contracts that would allow for them to seize our property, because that would be a power that they created through the Constitution, which cannot be created through the Constitution because it's forbidden by the 9th Article to the People's Bill of Rights. This is why they cannot tax it. It's two worlds. You got to remember, it's two worlds. You got government. Just imagine our people just living happily along under the common law. We have our courts. We have any problems with one another. If there's anything, we're damaged in any way, or any civil crimes are committed against us, we follow the procedures. We don't don't think about government. We go and we go to the judge that we elected, whose wages we pay through direct tax, which is a direct tax. It would be something like when they go to tax for, say they're going to tax timber. They're going to tax timber because a big conglomerate, a corporation wants to come in and make $1 zillion off your timber. Well, that money, it just doesn't belong to government because they haven't created any direct tax to spend it on. Now, if they wanted to say they can put a direct tax to spend money on tree money on schools, well, you'd have to vote on that. And if a bunch of the people said okay, then those people could go pay that tax. But this is why they try to tell you all tax is voluntary, because it would have to be. You send me my tree money, and I'll decide what I give to you. Now, you can put out a proposal that if everybody pitches in this much of their tree money, that we can build a school and then we can start indoctrinating your children. You got to wonder. I mean, this has been one of the big questions when you go getting real in depth with the common law. We have national highways. I mean, it would be key to your defense of a nation this size, and that this is one of the places where the government could step in and build government roads and tax you to do it. Well, they could build government roads. I mean, if you decided that we were going to have we had to have highways, and to facilitate a movement during a wartime. Then we know, like the Alaska Highway was built during World War II because there was no main highway to move resources there, and of course Japanese and the Russians are right there, and so it was something that we needed to defend ourselves. And this was one of the areas where the government did have authority. We granted that authority because we have to defend what is ours against other nations that would take it. But where was that money to come from? Now, we said that in the beginning that we would finance a very limited government. The main thing that government was going to do was not get into our private business and our private affairs, and they were not going to tap into our private properties to finance any goddamn thing. Now, the public lands, you have to ask, who do they belong to? They belong to each and every one of us. And then people go, communism. No, it ain't communism. Not in America. Why? Because we are individuals. We are a republic with an emphasis on the rights of the individuals. We don't own it as a collective, and that's how they've been running it, like it belongs as the collective and they're managing it for the collective. No, we own it as individuals. If there's 320 million of us in this country, each of us owns 1/320 millionth of a part of it, period. We have to, or else we are not a free people and we are not self-governing. Now, how would this work out, though? How would we finance things? Well, to begin with, the government was supposed to be financed on tariffs. That means we had the richest country on planet Earth. We still do. And everybody's going to want access. We came in here because we had the resources. We could make anything we want. All we needed, we had free thought, thanks to the first article of our People's Bill of Rights. And we had the right to go and do any damn thing we wanted to, as long as we wouldn't harm another's rights. And if we did step on somebody else's rights, we had the remedy for it. The Bill of Rights, the procedures, the maximums contained therein, so that we could litigate it and come out with justice on the other end. Everybody gets treated right. But what did they do? They come in and the aristocrats who wrote that Constitution with the full intent of taking control of everything and all the property, and finally the people, and finally killing the people because they don't need us anymore. Well, they took it. They've taken it this far that we live in today. But how should it have been? What it should have been is that any time a natural resource is taken. Now, each person, this isn't rocket science, it's simple math. There's 320 million parts of it. Now, back when we had the Confederacy, it would have been by state. However many people in the state, they own an equal share of what public lands there were out there. Now, if somebody wanted private land for themselves, well, they could say their stake, their part of the public lands was worth so many millions and millions of dollars, okay? So I'm going to just take this one chunk. I'm going to take 360 acres here. You deduct it from my estate of what belongs to everybody else. Now everybody else is, they've got theirs there. Everybody had theirs to go and get. Plus, there was so much abundance of more. This country is so huge, and there were so few people here. Like I said today, even with the people we have, if everybody was out of here that doesn't belong here, we'd be living like Saudi princes. That's how much property we own that is being stolen from us. But let's just take it down to everybody's got them a homestead. You want to put a house on it, huh? Well, your resources there, you can either go cut down the timber yourself and mill it and build your own house, or you could hire somebody to do it. You're quite wealthy. Which is to say you could sell off to another American national who might want to run a timber business. Maybe he wants to make actual profit beyond what belongs to him and, cut into what belongs to the rest of us to make more, to pile up wealth. Well, that's okay. As long as you pay me for the raw material, what it's worth. And then I can take that wealth and I can make myself a nice little castle of my own on my 360 acres and still have a plenty, because this country, we cannot even imagine the wealth that was here when they began. And as for the government and needing a highway, the government could come forth and say, people, because of outside threats, we need everybody to be trained as militia. There was never supposed to be any standing armies, and there was no reason that it couldn't have been the people as the people's militia that would stand and fight for this country, who would fight for it more. Especially you would be fighting for this country because you wouldn't be going overseas to other countries to capture their wealth for the Jews over there in Israel. It would be on this soil just like it's going to be here pretty soon, and it would be for home and hearth. So at any rate, we could say, well, yes, our militias are going to be positioned all around. They're going to be everywhere. They're us. But we would need transportation to move things about. This is a huge country to defend. And it would be to our advantage to have these roads. And let's say that the tariffs wouldn't cover it, which is bullshit. Once we built this country, everybody, why does everybody want to come here to do business? Because we have wealth. Our people are wealthy. It was a consumer base, what you're going to buy from other people. Other countries don't have what we have. They don't have the wealth. Even the things they produce in their own country, they only have the wealth there for people to buy from each other, as we do here. We never needed anybody. We could closed off our country a long time ago. We have everything we need here and done business with one another and just been happy as larks. But on the pretense that there are going to be, the rest of the world does exist, and they're going to want access to the things you're making, and they're going to want access to the consumer base. And this is what the game they've played to us, up to the point that they're calling us just human resources now. We went from a consumer base, in my dad's time, the money in his wallet, man, I'll tell you, people treated him good. When he went in the store, man, it was, yes, sir, the customer is always right, sir. Absolutely, sir. Because they wanted that money in your pocket. They wanted to do business with you. Now they've pumped in all the third world, the fourth world. Hell, man, they've got a zillion people here that don't belong. And if you don't want that piece of Chinese junk at Walmart, just get out of line, get out of here, get away from us. We'll call a cop and have you beaten. That Mexican behind you, that Chinaman behind you, he'll take it. He's got a way lower standard than you do. At any rate, so we come up to the point of these highways. How are we going to finance them? Well, it would be the people, we would appeal to the people. And if enough of the people believed in what you were doing, which, you would have to put a convincing case before him because you are the government. You are the servant. You're not giving orders here. You're asking. You're the beggars, not us. You want to build the highways. There's a lot of people going to make a lot of money off that highway building it in the construction. And so the rest of us, you tell us we need this highway. It'd be good for us to be able to transport our goods. It would be good for us in time of war if we had to move people and materials about. And you sell us on us. And if you sell enough of us on it, we'll come and we'll pay for that son of a gun. And then you say, well, what about the guy who didn't pay for the highway? He's going to be out there using it, wearing it out, and the other. Well, you pay for it, and the bottom line is when I see it being abused, I don't have to pay for it no more. It's not like this is going to be a tax for the rest of the time on this planet. No, if people start abusing it, that guy who's using it to make, well, if somebody was making commerce, and my stretch of road out in front of my house, I go to get on it, and bam, I'm going through bumps. I'm going, what the hell's going on here? Let's go check and see what's going on. I mean, I had this road built strong. It should last just people going up and down it just for transportation. We ain't had no wars, so the military ain't been moving much on it, but damn things tore all to hell. What's going on here? Well, this fellow over here, man, he's hauling rock down it. I mean, he's hauling rock, quartz to a crusher to make gold, and tore the road all to hell. Well, we don't need no big investigations. We don't need no committees. Little old Henry just goes there and files a goddamn case against him in the common law court, takes 2 witnesses. There's damn holes out there, and boy, we can sure as hell show who put them there. And then you go into court, and then that fella, he has to pay to fix that road because he used it for commerce, our transportation road. And that's fair. It's fair to everybody because he's making them in. He's out there taking gold out of the mountains. He's got a plenty. He just figured, well, he just tear up our road, taking it to market, and we just eat the expense. And this is what's going on now, people. I mean, I know about the PUC tax that the truckers pay, and it's just like the tax that we pay at the pump in this sham that is being presented to us as a transportation system in this country. It is a sham. We pay enough to, and they right now, the industry, the people, the transporters, the people out there running trucks and stuff, they pay a plenty too. We pay enough till our roads should be, like I said, paved in silver. That's how much we pay. But the money is being, well, what you got, you go to them and you say, hey, man, our roads are tore up. Communist, you had everybody paying this communist system so that this because we were going to take real good care, you were going to take care of our roads, like managing our forests. You're going to manage our transportation system. You're not managing it very well. The spindle just broke off my car going down the road in front of my house. I want to know what's going on. And they'll tell you, well, it's like this, sir, about 90% of the money's just been straight up embezzled. And they tell us, they have told us this, people. The money's being embezzled. And what ain't being embezzled? Well, we got that wrapped up in pensions because what we got going here is we've set up institutions. And that's not the way it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a free enterprise system in this country. That means when we go to build that road the first time, a bunch of us go out there that are going to pay for that road. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk to the guy. Well, what kind of materials are you going to use? What kind of life expectancy can we expect from this road? And if there's heavy equipment on it, what kind of life expectancy can we expect on this road? So that we can, get ready to take care of the industry that's going to jump out on our public road. And by rights, we go out on these roads, and private industries out there slowing me down, getting in my way. I've driven trucks, so I'm not talking from a holier than thou position. But private industry, and I'll tell you what, I always pulled over and let people around because it was their goddamn road. The thing is, industry. It's like the railroads. They own the railroad tracks. They maintain the railroad tracks. They move their stuff back and forth. It's all theirs. But the shipping industry took to the public roads built by all the people, and the idea was, well, it's to your benefit because they're bringing goods and services to your area. But it comes down, that's socialism, people. It is not what it's supposed to be in this country. And it's not that it couldn't have been what it could be in this country. And you talk about efficient and very cost effective. I mean, we wouldn't pay. I mean, man, the money that's being stolen from us and wasted and just taken right in front of our eyes by the contractors. No, it would be like I said. This stretch of road here. How long is it? What materials are you going to use? Show it to me. Show me what you're going to do, and then sign a piece of paper called a contract saying that's what you're going to give me. This is the good you're going to give me, and it's going to be durable to this point, and this is what I can expect. Anything short, and I'm going to be taking you into court, and it's going to be a common law court because I'm going to sue you as an individual because I put my own money into that out of my own pocket. And, that's your money from your trees. That was just no, that ain't public money. That's my money. And that's what that's the con they have put over our people for so long. Oh, it's just public revenue. No, it ain't. I mean, what I see here where I live is the son of a bitch, the person down the road who's got $1 million in the bank, he's getting taxed 100% on his trees. And I, who have nothing, I'm getting taxed 100% on my trees. And we're talking, thousands and thousands of dollars every year that are being taken out of my pocket and handed over to the contractors, of which my buddy down the road there, who's got the $1 million in the bank, he's one of them. And he's getting the money in the tree money through his contracts, and I'm getting what the little boy shot at. In fact, when I go down one of my public roads, I'm getting the spindle broken off my car, or else I'm getting pulled over and robbed going down the road by the state highwaymen employed by the private corporate government at the level of the governor's office. State highwaymen ripping me off. I mean, I've committed no crime, violating my fourth article right, violating all my due process procedural rights, and taking what little bit is left in my pockets that they haven't stole. I understand how much is being taken from me, and it ain't that I feel entitled. I am entitled. It is my heritage. It is my inheritance from my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, inherited straight down. What was it supposed to be? In that first, after the Gunsmoke settled at Yorktown, when the sword was surrendered, well, that land belonged to that one generation, and after that, anybody who won anything, well, they're trying to get something for nothing. No, it belonged to my great-great-great-great-grandpa, and he didn't sell it. It was swindled from him by the aristocracy that was already the same aristocracy that came out of the colonies, the Masonic dirty church cabal. It was swindled over the years to the point to where I'm left penniless. And for all intents and purposes, because I have to rent, I'm left homeless on the continent my grandfathers conquered. The richest piece of real estate to exist on planet Earth. And I was an owner, and there was just a handful of us, but somehow a handful, a tiny, not even a handful, a little group, some cliques, ended up with all the wealth of this nation. And the rest of us, well, if we're lucky, we can work for them, and we get to eat and have a roof over our head. And it ain't communism to want what belongs to you as an individual. And it does belong to us as individuals. And it's proven by how the Indian tribes are treated with their properties. And how the people in Alaska, they get an annuity check in the mail for their oil. Where's my timber check? For my timber, I mean, you can say, well, you just want something. Well, no, hey, just leave the timber alone then. Don't cut no more of it. How about that? Get off my public lands, industry. Get off my public lands, rancher. Get off my public lands, farmer. Get off my public lands, miner. Get off. It's that simple. I want you off. You're not paying me to be there, to be extracting my wealth for you. This country wasn't just for a handful of aristocrats. It belonged to the people who bled to acquire it, who took it from a king across the ocean. They have relieved us by relieving us of our Bill of Rights, people, and this is what it is, and it goes back to 1933, when they seized the gold. When they seized the gold, they told you couldn't own property. If they can come up and say the government owns all the gold, they can say the government owns all the land, and haven't they done it since? Property taxes. I don't want to pay your property taxes. Well, this is for the children to go to school. My children won't go to your school then. I won't go to your school. I'll teach my children. And I don't want to buy a school. But what they've done is they've taken the wealth of your nation under the guise that they're superior to you in intelligence. And we know they're thrifty spenders. Look at them. I mean, how well they've managed our resource, our wealth. It's like the executor of an estate, trustee of an estate, who is left to say 5 children, and their children when the person they inherited it from dies, and then that executor just starts spending that money. That executor was there to maintain the estate at minimal cost and make sure that the benefits, all the benefits of the estate, went to the children. But they took that concept and they removed it and they made it into a corporation after the Civil War. They took the individual ownership and made it a corporate ownership under a corporation, and there were shareholders. We weren't the shareholders. The corporate elite were the shareholders. The aristocracy from the beginning, their progeny, they were the shareholders. We were turned into property. That's why we have these birth certificates with dead corporation names on it. That is your inheritance right there on that certificate that's traded on the stock market. That is your 320th of the wealth of this country that belongs to you on a piece of paper being traded around the goddamn world, people. That is your wealth right there that they're taking from you. You're being treated like a child who is incompetent to handle their own affairs. And so the person who's stepped up as the competent person and had their court illegally rule in violation of your 9th article that they're competent and you're not. Now they're squandering your wealth. They're stealing it from you right in front of your eyes. Now they're not even making no, but they did first, man. I mean, they kept quiet about it. And some of them would get caught every once in a while and they'd throw some in prison and stuff. But the theft was massive from the beginning. And now it's just completely out in your face. They're stealing it right under your nose. They're coming up and taking it right out of your hands. And the guise being that you're incompetent. That's what they do when they take you into the admiralty courts. When you accept that attorney in their court, you're declaring yourself incompetent to take care of your own affairs. When you turn over your power of attorney to anyone, you are declaring yourself incompetent to take care of your own affairs. And once you do that, and see that attorney, he's in the admiralty, he's a part of that administrative court. Hence, pirate ship is really what it is. And then they commence to stealing from you. And he signs, he has the power of your signature. He's signing your stuff away. And every signature you put on a piece of paper after the bankruptcy of 1933 under Title 50, which is, again, can't exist. None of it. They couldn't do the bankruptcy the way they did. They couldn't do none of it. It was violation of the 9th article. They seized property from each and every individual across this land without the due process contained in the 4th article, without the due process contained in the 5th article, without the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th articles. And they did it all in violation of the 9th because they cannot violate that law. Everything has been theft, open theft, and they know it as well as you and I know it. You think, I mean, a lot of people just don't think that the government's just so, well, they're just dumb. No, they're not dumb. They understand exactly what they're doing. In fact, where there's the seat they're sitting in, they're looking down and they're calling you incompetent. Anyways, guys, we've made it to the top of the hour. We will be back on Monday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern for another broadcast, The Word from the Trenches on PBFTT. And until then, look at it and think about it. Consider your ownership and what you have. I mean, and how you're treated. Like I said, they have taken a custodial position over you, which puts you in slavery because they own your signature, they think. They don't own your signature because they're in violation. The things they have, this power they have seized has been in violation of the 9th article, and we're going to have to go to the 2nd to get it back.